Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. I've got another Halloween card for you guys, and I've taken some watercolor paper. I'm on a bit of a watercolor hit here, and I used a stamp from La La Land, and this is Marci, I think her name is. It'll be in the title, and I started to watercolor her with some lawn fawn ink. So they're just little ink cubes. They're sort of about 1 inch in diameter, and this is just like the darkest blue I had, which I think is the Blue Jay, if I remember rightly. And I stamped her in some what's it called? I can't remember. I can never remember the name of this stamp, this ink. Oh, Ink on 3 blackout detail ink, and it's a really good ink for not just alcohol markers, but also for watercoloring. So I thought I would give it a whirl and see how it worked, and to check whether it was going to bleed with the watercoloring or anything like that, and it didn't. It was perfect. And I stamped that and started to do the background first. I figured it would be easier to get the background done first, especially with watercoloring, so that I could then just go in and I'd know where the image was. You can do it the other way around. I have on a previous Christmas one done a similar thing, but using a Copic marker in the background, and actually did that bit afterwards. So it depends, I think, what you're working with, but I just thought that with watercoloring it would be better if I started with her background first. And the thing I love about watercolor is that it looks better when it looks like it's not smoothly blended. So this is a bit, looks a bit messy in the background, and that for me is what makes watercolor so good. And then I'm using typical Halloween colors. I've got yellow, an orange, a green, a purple, and black, and I'm going to do the entire thing with those 5 colors, obviously with the exception of the background. And I have just started with the yellow on the stars, and then using the orange on her little the buckle on her hat, and then I'm going to create some brown using the orange and the black ink. And I don't have a brown in lawn fawn ink, so I created one. And that's a nice thing. Another nice thing about watercoloring is that you can create your own colors. So if you've got some basic colors with things like watercoloring, you can actually mix them to make a color that you want on your project. So her hair started out this lovely shade of brown that I'd created, and I had to change it because I realized that I had actually painted some of her hair blue like the background. So note to self, look at the image a bit better. So you'll see in a second I'm going to actually go over that and go, oh, actually that should be hair. So I darken up her hair some more, which actually I think looks better as it turns out. I think the sort of mousy brown would look nice during the day, but this is a nighttime scene, so your hair naturally from moonlight is gonna, and the dark night air, or the darkness of night, you're gonna have a darker look to your hair, even if your hair's quite light. So it actually worked out better. But yeah, just when you've got a more detailed image like this and you're doing this kind of one layer look, just be aware of where your background is on the image itself. So and I'm looking at it now, I probably missed another little bit right in her neckline, so but that's fine. So I've used the purple, which looks very pink on screen, I have to say, but that's fine too. It's kind of a purpley pinky color. It just looks super pink on screen, so that's quite funny for me when I watch these back to edit them, how different some of these colors look, whereas the light that I'm working with at the time, it looks obviously more purple for example, than pink. And also, the more you water down a color, the more translucent it becomes. So that might not be helping as well. So I'm just coloring in her boots as well in some of the black. I'm just straight. That's the color it's going to have, and her hat as well is going to have a black witchy hat. So let's get these in there. And she's really starting to look quite sweet, I think. So now I need to make some skin colour, because, you know, I mean, she could be green. She's a witch, you know, Halloween witch. So again, I took the orange and the black and I just watered them down enough so that I had the tone of skin that I wanted for her. I played around with it. I didn't know if that was going to work, and it did. So instead of stamping and cutting her out on some masking paper, because there are a lot of detail edges to her, I'm just covering up enough of her and using these are some Ganzo Tambi starry colors. So they're like a pearlescent paint, and there's a few different types of golds in there. So there's a white gold, a red gold, a blue gold, and I'm just picking up a couple of different variants of that and just flicking it. I'm putting it on my acrylic block and then just flicking it off with the paintbrush. And the paintbrush I'm using is just like one of those that you put some water in the barrel and use it that way. It's a little less messy, but it does take some getting used to, so I'm trying to do that more. And then for the black and white splatter that I'm going to have, I'm using the Winsor & Newton Cotman colours, and these are some watercolour paints again that I've had for quite a while, and I just exactly the same thing just to get some splatter on the background, but I didn't want too much on her. She's the main feature, right? So I didn't want to destroy her now that I've spent however long painting her. So this is, I can't remember if I said this at the beginning, this is actually a stamp from La La Land. And again, I've had this for many, many, many years. And I just decided that she is a great image to try this one layer card. In hindsight, I could have actually cut the stars that are on the stamp set. I think they can be cut off separately. I didn't think that far, so that's why there's a whole bunch of stars in one corner. Really, they are a separate stamp. You just have to cut them apart yourself. I didn't think that far, so never mind. I'm just cutting this slightly smaller so that it will fit on a A2 size card. So I'm trimming it slightly small. It's probably 1/8 of an inch around the edges, just so there is a border. And I'm using some Stampin' Up! Night of Navy cardstock for that, and I've also stamped in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink onto the for the sentiment, and I'm just trimming that down with my paper trimmer. I use that all the time for my sentiments. It's just an easy way to trim your sentiments up. And here is the boo-boo on the back when I first stamped her. So just remember, there's always two sides to a piece of cardstock. I'm pretty sure I did this on my Christmas version of this. So always two sides to your cardstock. So if you're stamping, turn it over if you make a boo-boo. Not a big deal. And I'm putting this up on some foam tape just so that there's a bit of dimension and a little bit of something extra on the card. It could all be stuck flat and that would look just as nice. With the sentiment, in hindsight, I should have used a white embossed or even just a white pigment ink. I think that would have looked better. It would stand out much better on the card. You can see it in real life, but it is very, very subtle. So that's just that's something to think about. I didn't think there was enough white on the card to put that on as a white sentiment, but really either would work. And this still looks quite sweet. So you'll see a little close up here. So the sentiment reads "The witch is in." So I thought that was quite funny. So there you go. And the background does have some shimmer, which is just picking up on the camera there. which is really, really nice. So I hope you like this 1-layer card for Halloween, and it's a bit of a watercolor themed thing. And I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye.